Hi, boys and girls. It's Mr. Monica again, and we're going to continue today with our story, The Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum. When I was reading to you yesterday, Dorothy and her friends had went back to the Emerald City to see Oz so they could get what he had promised them. They found out that Oz was not a great wizard. Oz was just a regular, normal man, and that was disappointing to Dorothy and her friends. Because he said that he did not know how to get them the things that they wanted. But as they were talking, he did promise to get them their things the following day. Except for Dorothy. He said he just didn't know how to get her and Toto back to Kansas. So they went back to their rooms with the idea that they were going to go back and see Oz again the next day. Chapter 19, The Rewards. The following morning, the Scarecrow could hardly contain his excitement. "The next time you see me," he told his friends before going into the throne room, "I'll be just like other men." "I always liked you as you were," said Dorothy very quietly. "You're very kind," he said. "But you'll think even more of me once you hear all the great ideas my new brain is going to come up with." With that, he stepped forward and knocked on the throne room door. "Come in," said Oz. "I'm here to get my brain," said the Scarecrow, stepping forward. He was still eager, but a little nervous, too. After all, it wasn't often that a person got magic performed on him. Oz asked him to sit down. "I hope you don't mind," the old man told the Scarecrow, "but I will have to take your head off for a little while so I can put your brain in the proper place." "Oh, it's quite all right, as long as my head is better when you put it back on than when you took it off," the Scarecrow replied. Oz took off the Scarecrow's head and took it to a back room. The room was crowded with shelves holding all sorts of bottles and bags and various odd things. There was the big head that Dorothy had talked to, and the fairy costume that Scarecrow had seen. Other costumes were there as well. First, Oz pulled all the straw out of the Scarecrow's head. Next, he took some bran from one jar and a bunch of pins and needles from another jar and mixed them together. Then he opened the Scarecrow's head and poured the mixture in. Finally, he stuffed straw in around it to hold everything in place and closed the head up again. "There we are," said Oz, putting the head back on the Scarecrow's body. "All done. You now have a, brand new brain. A rather large one, I might add." Slowly, the Scarecrow stood up. He felt his head and began to smile. It felt much larger and heavier than before. Oz had given him brains. So here's a picture of Oz pouring the mixture into the Scarecrow's head. Happily, he thanked Oz and ran out to tell his friends, who were waiting patiently outside the door. They all stared at his head, which was absolutely bulging with his new brains. "How do you feel?" asked Dorothy. "Great," he boasted. "I feel very wise." "Why do you have pins and needles sticking out of your head?" asked the Tin Woodman curiously. "To show how sharp he is, of course," said the Cowardly Lion. "Oh, that makes sense," said the Tin Woodman. "Well, now it's time for me to go get my heart. Wish me luck." With those words and a wave, he stepped forward and knocked on the throne room door. "Come in," said Oz. "I'm here to get my heart," said the Tin Woodman, stepping forward. "All right," said Oz, "but I'll have to cut your chest open so I can put your heart in the right place. I hope it won't hurt." "Even if it did, I wouldn't mind, just so long as I got a heart in the bargain," said the Tin Woodman. So Oz took out some very sharp shears and cut a hole in the Tin Woodman's chest. Then he opened a small box and took out a pink silk heart stuffed with sawdust. "How do you like it?" he asked the Tin Woodman. "Oh, it's beautiful," said the Tin Woodman joyously. "Is it a good heart? Will it make me gentle and kind?" "Yes, of course," said Oz, putting the heart inside the Tin Woodman's chest. He replaced the square of tin and then welded it back into place. "I'm sorry about the patch," he told the Tin Woodman, "but it couldn't be helped." So here's a picture of the Tin Woodman with Oz. "That's perfectly all right," cried the Tin Woodman. He was so happy that he gave Oz a big hug, which made Oz laugh. Then the Tin Woodman dashed out to tell his friends about his beautiful new heart. They congratulated him and admired his heart, which they could hear bouncing around in his chest. This inspired the Cowardly Lion so much that he almost forgot to be afraid when it was his turn to knock on the throne room door. "Come in," said Oz. I have come for my courage," he stuttered, stepping forward. "All right, come on in," said Oz, waving the lion into the little back room. Oz studied the shelves a moment, then reached for a heavy green bottle. He shook the bottle to stir up its contents, then poured some of the liquid into a beautiful greenish gold dish. "Here," he told the Cowardly Lion, "drink this." So here's a picture of that. The lion sniffed suspiciously at the dish. "What is it?" he wanted to know. "I don't know what to call it when it's in a bottle or a dish," said Oz, "but once it's inside you, it will be courage. That is the only way courage can work," he explained. "It has to be inside you." "Oh, well, that certainly makes sense," said the Cowardly Lion, and apologized for hesitating. Then, without another thought, he drank every drop in the dish. Oz studied the creature's face. "How do you feel now?" he asked. "Full of courage! Thank you, Oz!" the lion roared, then ran out to celebrate with his friends. Alone once again, Oz smiled to himself. "Well, I made those fellows happy. I guess I'm not such a big faker after all." Then he remembered Dorothy. He sat down and propped his chin on his hands. He still had no idea how to get her home. This was going to require serious thought. So that's the end of our chapter today. So all of Dorothy's friends received what they believed that they wanted, and they were all very happy. Now let's see what the Wizard of Oz does to help Dorothy get back home. Chapter 20, little teaser here, the hot air balloon. I'll see you tomorrow, my friends. Bye-bye.